All right, next on deck is this 64 of Joe Riley. I met him over the phone a while back, and we actually met up at the Davenport swap meet, and he delivered all of this to me, and then I took it back home, and now I'm ready to get after it. So the plan is I will be kind of prepping everything. So obviously do all the machine work, and then just get the cases cleaned up, make sure everything is good to go, and then he's going to reassemble it. It should work out really cool. Joe actually watches these videos, so I think it'll be kind of neat to have something for him to actually be able to see. I got 2 sets of cylinders, so that's kind of neat. I'll get to decide which one I want to run. I always like having options. So we'll measure both of those, figure out which ones we're going to use. From what I can tell, they're both in good shape just overall. But, you know, like if I can do 20 or 40 or something like that, we're definitely going to go there. So the head, though, I was kind of thinking looked really good. I was very happy with, you know, majority of it. But when I was setting everything up to make the video, I came across this little gem. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but that guide is way too high. So that means it's bouncing around in there. I haven't even measured the crank yet, but it definitely was subjected to some damage. That journal in particular, hopefully that focuses, but there's some white metal. The bearing has definitely left some material behind, so we know we need to grind it. Head, cylinders, crank, and then like I said, I'm going to be getting these ready for him. I'll vapor blast them, so I'll get them all cleaned up. I will remove the bearings, all that kind of stuff, so it'll be ready for him to go. Oh, and then you know, I left the transmission with him, except I did take the main shaft and 4th gear, because I'm going to put a new bushing in 4th gear, and so then I will hone it to match his main shaft, which main shaft's in good shape. All of his gears looked great. His transmission looked really, really good. I've had people that sent me cases, and maybe I had brand new glass in there, and then they send me their head or something a while later, and I haven't changed the glass or whatever it might be, and then all of a sudden it does not look the same. And so I try to avoid that and do everything all at the exact same time. I think somebody asked me once before what these are. There's a bunch of different variations, but I have both a metric and standard set because, as you can see, it may work. Some work on different size studs, so you have to kind of mix and match. You have to drop down on that one. Come on. But it's just 3 like cams that roll up, so even if I'm slipping, it doesn't damage the stud at all. It's just, I mean, the worst it can do is polish the surface, so it doesn't hurt them. It's a really good way. It's better than vice grips, but I like to try and get as much steel out of these as I can, because after I get done blasting, they will rust. We need to get all of our bearings out too. I think there's photos online of people vapor blasting whole, like, complete engines, and to be honest, I don't know how they do that, because the material or the media is so fine, it gets everywhere. it takes me so long to get it all cleaned out. I just don't understand how those guys are safely doing that. On these drive side 2-piece bearings, you can heat up the case, stick it in an oven or something like that, and you usually can get enough expansion that this race will actually fall out. The way I actually like to do it is I will weld like almost all the way around it, and that will actually kind of contract the race. Sometimes you'll have to like come in from the backside and like with a punch and tap it out a little bit, but it usually does a pretty good job of shrinking it to where it almost wants to fall out on its own. So that's my go-to. It's just really quick and, you know, it's easy, I guess. But he's already pulled his sludge trap, so does need finished up as far as cleaning goes, but and also flywheel does have to come off on this one. It looks like somebody, I don't know if you can see that, but there's that line that's been shaved here. We'll take the flywheel off. Rocker boxes, same deal. We'll strip them, clean them, probably put mushroom adjusters in them. Let me get some more done and we'll be back. I measured both of these. I actually stacked them on top of each other to carry them up here, and I could very quickly see that this one, the raw one, is incredibly oversized. So I went ahead and measured this. This is actually just worn standard. So 20 thousandths will take this one for sure. This one is actually at 80 thousandths already. So that cylinder is junk to me. It could be lined, I guess, if you wanted to do that, but you can buy a new set for probably what it would cost to do a lining job on that. So we're gonna go with these, which means I need to get them blasted up, get the guide or the tappet blocks out, and then we can go on. But like I said, 20 thousand is going to take this one, so super easy. From what I can tell, everything's in good shape. I will kind of figure out 100% sure once I blast them. Yeah. All right, we got our bore centered. I've got about a 5 thousandths cut or so. I do a light one to start out with just to make sure that I'm not, you know, hogging one side or not. But this thing is really good about getting centered. So just more of precaution than anything else. But get it into gear here. All right. Spinning. Drop it. It'll be interesting to see if you can hear the difference between that good solid cut all the way around, but either way, I've only got one more cut or one more pass after this one, since we're just doing that 20. It does not take very long. All right, I got the Dow bore gauge set up, so we should be somewhere around, I think 7, 6.5. Okay, I don't know if you guys can read that, but I wish it would focus better. 0, 0, 0, 0. I mean, come on. I love it. All right, now I'm gonna do the other side. You don't need to see that. I'm trying to decide if I want to do crank or head for the rest of the day while we hone these, but I guess we'll both be surprised. All right, I've got the hone started. Still haven't touched the head, as you can see. I need to get it ripped apart, but if we come over here, trap's already out of it, but it needs cleaned, and this flywheel has to come off. I don't know, maybe you can kind of get an idea if I hold the camera just right. This side you could probably, I don't know. I'll have to get a straight edge out to show you, but I know for a fact this side is not gonna pass. So because of that, it's coming off. So when you're taking one of these flywheels off, the timing side is the one that has the deeper ramp. They both are I don't even know if it's machined, but they both have somewhat of a angle going towards the center line, but the timing side is notched out for the flywheel to drop onto. So that's the direction you want it to fall. It really doesn't take that much heat. It's more so just getting it evenly heated. And actually, I've been putting the flywheels in the oven to actually put them back on. It's just makes way more sense. Hone is finished. I got 4.5 thousandths on these. All the ring gaps are set. I just need to file the edges so that way they're nice and clean and smooth. And then I'll install those rings onto the pistons. Cylinders came out great. I'm super happy at 20, so that's kind of cool for him. He can put loads of miles on this and continue to do more overbores way into the future. So I'll show you the hone pattern better later, but I'm going to soapy water those, get them prepped for paint, and then paint and bake them. So that'll probably all happen tomorrow. I'll try and keep you in frame as best I can, but I can't really see the screen, so hopefully this all stays where you can see it. I already know I'm not gonna have guides for this. I've got an order coming from Dan right now, but I don't know if I'm going to get them in time for this video. Valves themselves look pretty okay. Nothing too exciting. A lot of clearance on that one. It rocks pretty good, so it'll be interesting to see what it measures. In this particular case, especially when we have a guide that's fallen out like that, measuring is a moot point because I'm gonna change them anyway. I mean, there's zero. I don't even think when they installed that they would have been able to. Jeez, that is so loose in there. I don't know how they even got it to feel good when they installed it. Ugh, it rocks. That's not cool. No, that was cool. Valves are sealing good though. The faces all look good on the seats. Hopefully I can get everything lined up and not have to remove much for material, because this is actually a pretty decent head, other than the ding dong that put that guide in loose. Nothing special, just some green tape. The cylinders are ready, they're clean, they're degreased. Black duplicolor, high temp, and then I'll bake it. It's dark and cold out, so that means this will wait for tomorrow morning. And then I do like the coat, wait 10 minutes, coat, wait 10 minutes, so get a good layer on it, nothing runs, you want it to be nice and thick, and then the bake is to cure it. So we're gonna leave these. I'm gonna do some more blasting and then go home. So tomorrow we'll see how far we can get. I want to grind the crank tomorrow. If I can get these painted, and crank ground and cases blasted, I'd be really happy. Again, I'm gonna get hung up with this stupid head, just because I don't have the parts. But all right, I just got done with the timing side here, drive side. So I didn't really talk about it. I got this all cleaned up and then measured, and I think I know why he had a seizure. It was 1,000ths bigger than it should have been, so I'm not really sure how it even ran. Yeah. Anyway, so it was ground to what should have been 10, but it was 1,000ths too big. Obviously, there wasn't enough room, and there was a lot of evidence of that once you look at the shells and the rods and the amount of material that was left behind on the journals. But anyway, I'm taking them to 20. I just got done with this side. The radiuses are close, but not quite, so luckily they're not so bad I can't correct. So I'm going to jump over, do this side, and then we will get this thing back together. But sorry I kind of jumped ahead. I'm really trying to rush this out the door. Not rush the work. I want to make sure I do everything good, but I told him he would get to ride this thing before snow fell. So that's the goal, and I want to get this thing back to him. So I'm going to jump over here, do this timing side, make it look pretty at 20, and we'll put this thing back together. I got these painted up last night, and so now this morning I'm going to throw them in the little easy bake oven. I actually picked up semi-gloss. Normally I just use like full gloss black, but this semi-gloss is laying really nice. It is the second cylinder I've done with it, and I really like the way it looks after it's baked. Get some light on this side. I'll show you after I get done cooking it. I did grind the oilers and got it polished up, so we should be good to go. I'm going to show you, I just put those cylinders in the oven like I said, and then I will bake my flywheel after that. So I'll just get this thing kind of prepped to accept the flywheel, and then we'll do that here in a little bit. In the meantime, I think I'm going to get going on his rods so I can get the rods installed. Two things. One, this is what the bearings looked like. Kind of gives you an idea of the thousandths too much that they had, but not good. I just torqued this, torqued the big end so we can check to make sure they're round. Here we go. Oh, and always mark. I just stamped these, but always mark them so the caps go back with the rods proper. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that dial, but we've got it set up. We should see about 0.5 thousandths once the rod is on. So that's what you want to see right there. Again, I don't know if you can... Glares are going to be my... Damn. Well, trust me, it says 0.5 thousandths, but both rods check out good. Yeah, so now we can move on with them. Man, that looks crazy. It looks super yellow. I have been sick for the past couple days, and so I've been dragging ass and not getting anything done. But today we're gonna get somewhere at least. It's Saturday, and I try and upload either Sunday night or Monday morning, and so that means whatever we get done today and tomorrow is going to be it. We're gonna get this flywheel on. I'm getting it hot. I used to use acetylene, I think I was talking about that before, to reheat and drop it on, but this has been way, way, way better. I like it a lot more, so it's just about ready. I've also, a local guy asked me if I could take care of this GS 450 cylinder for him, so I've been chipping away at it. He bought big bore pistons for it, so I had to take, what was it, 96 thousandths out, so it took me a little bit. It's not bad. I love this machine for big cuts like that, so it's not a huge deal, but definitely not a priority for me right now. I marked the flywheel when I took it off, primary side, drive side, and so that way we can make sure. These are not centered or drilled centered. If you really, really measured out a flywheel, they're usually favoring one side or the other, and so I like to make sure. Later models actually have that timing notch, which always goes to the timing side, but this one didn't have any indication on the flywheel itself, so I stamped it. So we'll make sure we get it on right, because we don't want it to go too far. It's just not worth fighting it if you don't have it lined back up to the way it was. I just vapor blasted it and then just blew it dry and then threw it in the oven. So that's why it's got that golden flash rust color on it, but we'll wipe it down and it'll look nice and pretty. So once you get all of your bolts kind of started, you don't want to go crazy with tightening it up, but just make sure everything's aligned. Now all that heat is going to transfer into the crank, and so we won't want to touch this for a little while. So we'll let it sit. We'll get the once it's cooled off, we'll get the plug and the tube and plug in, and then let's finish up doing the rods. We're gonna speed run a lot of this. I ran a tap down. I think before I even ground it, I ran my tap down the plug hole, so we know we're good there. Bottom's cleaned out. Everything looks good there. We're ready for our new trap. Sometimes they want to just go, sometimes they don't. Now my finger's stuck. Okay. I need to grab the torque wrench so I can get this tight. The plug in. Dan sent me this Brad pen grade assembly lube. I had a smaller bottle he sent me a while ago, and I went through it pretty quick because I really liked it. So he sent me 2 more. This stuff is super awesome. Very sticky, very thick. You know, by the time I get these things set up, they get sent out. The owner builds and assembles and does all the work. It could sit for a while, so I like this really thick stuff. Get our ARP assembly lube all over these bolts. We'll stretch these just like we always do, but I'll get both of them on and then we'll get the gauge out. Alright, I got my gauge ready to go. We're going to get these things stretched. I guess you'll see it at some point, but I'm not super worried about it.
Computer isn't completely hopeless, at least not in my garage. Went ahead and welded the rocker panel on this side. So there's the
I don't know if you'll be able to see it on this side or not.
process is pretty boring. After the next panel of build will be whether we build the steel arch or that's really
Alright, we'll repeat this side. Okay, flywheel is torqued on, new sludge tube, new plug, rods are good, rod bolts replaced, so yeah, we're pretty well done with this this setup here. So we do need to get this inner transition cover prepped for blasting also, and both these rocker boxes need to be prepped for blasting. So we're gonna rip those apart really quick. Hopefully I'll just be able to show you cases done. Like I said, everything except for a head is what you're gonna get to see. So unfortunately, this is just gonna be how videos go sometimes. Just didn't get everything done I wanted to, so it is what it is. You got to see something, I got something done, we'll move on. First thing I like to do while everything is still kind of in place, you've got your old junk nut on the end there, and I'll just get it loosened up so then that way I know it's kind of freed. And same with this one. I'm going to try and get all these inspection windows. Oh, they are all loose. Okay, cool. Sometimes you have to put these in a vise if they're stuck. But you want to get all these out of the way. I don't know what his plan is with these. I'm going to leave them as is. They're actually kind of clean. Well, these two are. These look kind of older, but I'm just going to set these aside. Whether he's going to buff them or replace them with something else, I don't know. Like I said, I think this is a custom bike. I still need him to send me some pictures so I can see, but I believe it's a custom bike. So that being said, I kind of don't assume anything as far as what's going to get left behind. The other thing I like to do is, while it's still assembled, is get these nuts out for the adjusters. It's just easier while you got a good grip on it. Get both of those out of there. Sometimes these go easily, sometimes they don't. I actually take a roll pin punch because it's got like that nice little nipple on the end. Yeah, okay, let me go grab that. Okay, so I've got this old roll pin punch, and I like it because it's got that little nipple on the end to kind of keep me from bouncing around. So then that way I can drive the end of this shaft without damaging it. Because, you know, anything else could probably get a little carried away. But just hold that in the center. It usually doesn't take much. I mean, I've seen ones that are, you know, seized in place, but I actually took one apart one time. Somebody had dry blasted it with it assembled, and then at some point, I don't know how I ended up with it in that order. I don't know if it got ran that way or not, but man, that thing was just caked full of media. It was ridiculous. And so, as you can imagine, it did not want to come apart. Over here. Don't lose all your... He's got those metal core gaskets, and it keeps poking me. Do not like that. Alright. These spring washers look like they're in really good shape. I'm gonna do that. I need to go get my light. Sometimes you'll see these and they'll just be completely squashed. Those are junk in that case. But these are good. These still have a lot of life left in them. They're both full coiled, so make sure you got all your flat washers out. Oop. I need a Phillips, and then those will be done. I got my little on this cover. We've got the Speedo drive, and so we're going to go ahead and drive that out too. While we've got our roll pin punch, we'll probably try that off the end of the shaft here, really gently. If it wants to go, then we'll just continue. Otherwise, we'll try some other tools, because you do want to be careful with that. I already have the screw out of it, so it should want to go out, but we'll see. And I'm removing it because I'm blasting this cover, and I do not want to fill that with... Oh yeah, she's gonna go. I don't want to fill it with media. So... Okay, I'm gonna go grab a couple more tools and then we can get it out. Got this tiny little crowbar. It's doing really well. Have run out of things to pry against, so might be able to get this one in. Ah, there we go. Haha, the little one came in. So now this will just kind of sit to the side for now. It will get a new O-ring on it, and make sure everything looks really good on it actually. So teeth all look good on here. It's not walking in this body, the brass body at all. The threads look good on it, so that will go right back in. Last thing we got to do is get this quadrant out. So there is a split pin here and a split pin on the inside. Sometimes these go incredibly smooth and just come right out, and sometimes you have to bully them. Okay. Dikes. I'm not cutting it, I'm just using these to get a really good tight grip. And then I ended up cutting it. But if it's split in half, I might be able to pull one side at a time. There we go. Just pry against it. There's been so many things in my past that I thought, oh, I'll be able to do it with this or that, but ended up dikes as a prying tool has worked so well. Especially with these. I'm trying to do everything at an angle you can see, but even like prying those two ends up into the center and getting it nice and pressed back together, it just goes so much easier. Cool. I'm gonna go push these bearings out, and then I'll wipe the excess oil off, and it'll be ready for blasting. Same with these. Ironically, the inside of these look like they've been blasted not that long ago, but we'll make them look better with a vapor hone. So, oh, and I gotta get the studs out too. All right, unfortunately, we're gonna end here. I was hoping I was gonna get a complete video on all this, but my head parts did come in, valves and guides, and so I'm gonna get after those. We got the crank done, we got the cylinders done, we got some blasting done. Not the most exciting, but I did get sick this week, and that kind of threw everything off, and I'm jamming to get more stuff out. He wants to ride this before the snow, and that's coming quick. So I really just need to get it done. He's got like a 4-hour drive to get here, so the sooner I get this done and we can get a pickup time, the better. I'm really happy with how everything turned out, so there's that. Otherwise, yeah, I don't know. Maybe you got something out of this one, maybe you didn't. I don't know. Sorry, but the next one will be better, I hope. I am working on cam timing on my my personal engine. Once I get that done, we'll get the primary done. Boom, boom, boom. We'll move on with that, but that takes back seat to everything else. I do have one more thing I want to show you. Hold on. I'm sure you've seen this in the background of some of the other videos, but I finally got some time to play with it a little bit more, and it's starting to actually look like a fixture. I got some of these components from a guy who is doing Kawasaki frames, and so I'm not really being able to reuse much of it other than that neck setup. But it's got a rod that runs down through whatever you make a stem, and then fake bushings, and then that rides on this, which comes down and points at a center line that you've got set up. And then you can hang off the backside another like plumb bob, and then that will hang over that center line also. And then everything you do can all drop down on that center line, and then you know either what offset you need, or if you do need it to be true to center, it becomes easier to figure that out. But I just threw an old frame I had. I actually got this frame from a friend of mine. He, back in like, I don't know, maybe the late 70s, early 80s, he hit a car and it bent this whole front end off. So the neck was all mangled, so I cut that off right away when I got it. So I cut it off here, and I cut it off here. And now I think this would be kind of a fun first project to correct and fix this. And so I will cut it right where that. It actually, I think this engine mount is what kept it true here. So this has a slight bend in it. So I'll probably get all this Bondo out of here, correct, wherever the straight section stops, and then I will, figure out what rake I want and kind of just have fun with it. It's, like I said, a great first project. I don't want to try and make a complete frame for the very first thing I ever do, but it's a pretty neat setup.